when the chips are down and you really expect a lot more and you can't afford to waste time, energy, or money, then you got to have someone who's thinking about more than just what's going on in this workout. It's too small.
Both of you guys posted something very valuable that I think I want you guys to elaborate on. And I think I'll start with Mallory. So you made a post. I'm going to have you read it, and then you're going to elaborate on it.
I've seen many coaches and clinicians throw around the term individualization of programs with no meaningful individualization insight.
Give me your hot take and your breakdown of why you think that's not actually happening.
Well, first scope, do you guys know the real difference between occupational therapy and physical therapy?
You're focused on the person's occupation, which is their purpose. And physical therapy is just about like impairments.
So what Ryan said, first we're trying to figure out what's most meaningful to that person and give that back to them in whatever way. But we don't diagnose. We learn diagnoses. My scope has been looking at people for who they are, and really what is a value of mine as a coach, as a clinician, is I want to make sure every single person that I work with feels respected. And the way that you make someone feel respected is that they are seen, and you prove to them that they are seen and that they are heard, and you prove to them that they are heard. So individualization, it's not that simple. It's not like you just change one or two exercises because person's request. Like, that's just one tiny layer of the individualization that happens to make somebody seen and heard.
I think the big thing there is that someone who sees themselves as a trainer or a physical therapist, we think our value lies in what exercises we know or what techniques we know. But it's about something Mallory talked to me about. It's like, what kind of learners are there? So how are you going to communicate with them? Do they want it short and sweet, or do they want everything explained to them? Do they want to be told, or do they want to give you feedback, and do they want to be a part of the process, right? So those are just like some of the things. Some people like complexity, some people want explanations, some people want it simpler, faster. There's like 400 layers to what personalization means. You know, for us to say, oh, we do personalized programs is like, oh yeah, like we'll give you this exercise instead of that. Like, that's too basic. That's not enough. It's not just the workout that's going to produce the outcomes. Are they going to learn concepts that take them beyond the workouts, you know? And so we filter and funnel everything through the training, but we're really working on their mindset, how their body functions, like how their behaviors affect how hard they can train or whether they're going to reach their goals, and so on and so forth. So we're working on a different level of just what's going on in the workout.
But being able to, as we said, like the learning styles of different people, being able to pick up on clues on someone going, wait, can you show that to me again? Can you show that to me again? Okay, this person needs demonstration, versus someone else that goes, can you describe what you want me to do again? That person needs more auditory clues. And then there's somebody else who you start to introduce the exercise and they go, no, wait, I just want to try it. I just want to try it. Let me know if I do it right. I just want to try it. And as a coach, clinician, whatever, you have to have your radar up for that. And then if somebody keeps on asking to try something, and if I just keep talking at them, I'm not individualizing that session for that person. So I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, I think we have to think of ourselves beyond just an exercise giver. Here, just let me find new exercises and just throw different exercises at people. There's so much more to it than that. Because when we're talking about things like pain, fitness, performance, health, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And the exercise is probably the easiest part, or the simplest part. And so we want to individualize the workouts and the programs, but you know, we need to consider what matters to them is, you know, the occupation, their purpose. And so everything is being filtered through that lens. And so if they feel that first, then they're much more likely to engage in the behaviors that frankly most of us know we need to do, but now it feels like it's right for them, and now it's doable and it's achievable. Then it gets done, and that's how we get results.
And then the conversation turns into, I'm changing your front foot elevated split squat to rear foot elevated split squat because your runner and single leg strength matters more to you, and you can load your foot better in this squat. And then you relate it all back to their story and the thing that's important to them and why they're seeing you in the first place. And that's how you turn exercise into something individualized at a deeper level.
Yeah, because I remember talking to Ryan in the past. I was like, in the end, a lot of our clients get the same exercises. right? But it's the story that you give with the exercises and why it matters to that person, and what it can kind of transform into later on. That again goes back to what matters most to you. Like, they don't care about the exercise. Ryan always says it's never about the exercise, right? It's about what they get to do from doing these exercises in the future.
But what will matter is if the exercises get done when they should be done, at the amounts they need to be done, and to make sure that we're constantly checking that whatever we assume that exercise is doing for them is actually happening, transferring to the things that do matter to them.
I think that leads to a post that I wanted to bring up that you wrote recently, and you said workouts aren't enough, coaching for the long game.
Exercises are just parts of a workout, a full workout of a day. But those workouts, they live within the context of a whole week, or, let's say you call it a microcycle. But that week-long program, even if you pivot, needs to change and improve throughout the week so that week leads to a 4, 6, or 8 week training block. What people expect from engaging these service is much greater than what we're delivering to people. And there's a million things trying to sabotage that. In the simplest terms, we're just doing trial and error, right? We try something, we expect it to work, and then if it doesn't work, we go to plan B. If it doesn't work, we go to plan C, and so on until we figure out something that works. Going back to why this is an important thing to realize is when we started working with people in classes, we had everyone following a similar script. We do a warm-up, and then everyone in the class does the same exercises, and we change. Some people might scale some of those exercises up or down, but we realized that wasn't going to work because we needed more feedback about what was going on in each individual person's life so that we can adjust the program to that thing and then check to see if it was improving whatever problem they were having, or it was working around a certain new life situation. And so the essence of that is that the touch point and the feedback allows us to pivot sooner and trial and error faster. And if you're in a class that can't account for that, or a long-term training service, or any training service or rehab service that doesn't allow for that back and forth, you'll never trial and error, and then you just keep trying the same thing that doesn't work.
I think a good coaching example is, okay, you want to hit whatever on your back squat, so we're going to put you on this 12-week plan, and every single week you're going to go up 10 pounds every single week perfectly, so then at the end you PR. It never works exactly like that. Or I shouldn't say never, very rarely it works exactly like that.
I know a lot of clinicians would go around and say, well, until you have this many degrees of internal rotation, or until you can do this or do that, or show me that you have these range of motions, you can't do this movement or exercise. And then now they're stuck on, well, I'm just going to work on improving my internal rotation, or I'm going to work on improving my hip mobility, and then my pain should be gone, or I should be able to do this again. But then they go to do that exercise later, and you can't make those promises.
Or more importantly, you can't gatekeep people from trying to do the thing based on prerequisites.
We choose their frequency based off of what they need and what they currently have available to them. So the amount of times they come in the week doesn't matter from like a value perspective to us, because the value is that we're customizing what you're doing for what you need in your life and what you want to do. So frequency is the next level of that. And then because we see people so often, it just keeps changing and evolving and growing. It's hard. It is hard to put into words because it's just every single person in the program, their program is completely different. We've learned from, the best coaches, and we study a lot to learn how to program for people. And then we really study the people that we work with to know how to then break those rules that we learned.
People don't just want to feel better from 60 to 80. They want to feel better today. And that's what's special about having PTs, OTs, and trainers together at the same time, is you can feel better now and get better in the future. That doesn't need to be a trade-off. And so that's what we're focused on. We're not just, we're talking about the health span and longevity piece because people are into it now and it's popular, but we've always had our eyes on that. It's not new to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think takeaway is when I work with a client, or when any of our PTs work with a client one-on-one, we're already thinking about what they need to learn. And then we're basically saying, we're going to teach this person everything they need to learn on how to be a better human and an athlete and learn how to train.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's what needs to happen is going to need to happen, right? From a physiologic perspective, one way or another. I never really position one-on-one or move without limits or training or PT relative to time and cost. All I think about is what has to happen. And I just offer people, here are different ways we can get there based on what works for you. Some people need more accountability, less accountability. Some people are more comfortable executing on their own or less comfortable. Some people are great learners and some people don't want to think about it. And they're just different options. But at the end of the day, what has to happen has to happen. If the things that I learned is what's separating me from even myself from the past, then what people need to get is what we learned. When people started telling me, they said, this is what PE class should have been in school when growing up. It's just a basic understanding of how my body works so that it can be healthy and strong and able. And you're just teaching me how to basically take care of myself. I'm like, yeah, I mean, the stork should have just dropped off your manual with you, but they didn't have it. So we created it. We literally traveled and studied from experts in all these different fields. And none of it is that sexy because a lot of it's very basic. But the reality is, if people knew that they were going to get what they wanted out of engaging with us or with anyone, then they would be fine with the not sexy. Because at the end of the day, like you said, it's not about the exercise. They just want someone step by step with them to make sure they get what they want. Because training is hard, it's expensive, it takes time, it takes energy. We are exhausted, we want to do other things. And if we're going to engage in that, then the least we would want is that it would give us what we wanted.
And longevity is becoming more popular. Like, people do want to live longer and better, or just better. And they're not going to learn that in these other classes.
Like I said, the assumption is that if I just do this class or if I just do this program, that's going to lead to all these other things that I want. Is a well-meaning, and it's a good first step, but then anyone who's achieved it or who's done it long enough realize it's a very long story. And essentially what's happening is those classes or those programs or those services are designed for the short term. They're not designed for the long term. How many services do you know that is thinking about who you're going to be and what you're going to need to achieve 15 or 20 years from now? And if that was never part of the original thought process when they designed the idea or the service, then how could it possibly work for those people? And that's why I always say when I'm online, I say, we've been with some people for 15 years. We meet new clients every single week, and we have people that have been with us for 15 years. And what you start to see when you do that is you have the perspective of what does someone who's new need to start to learn and engage with. And when you see what 15 years later, what that amounts to or what it doesn't amount to, you start to learn about how to take the steps that no one wants to take in building foundations, teaching ideas, leading people through the process. And that's why you value teaching, right? Because you know that if you want to think about this person beyond 6 weeks, and you're thinking 6 years, they're going to have to understand this. And so you're going to take the time to teach them.
Yeah.
And then so you're okay. You know that there's no rush to get this done in 4 days or 4 weeks. If you get this right, then it'll start to not just help from a longevity standpoint 20 years from now. It'll start to help you now.
The biggest superpower that we have is the community that we're building, because people learn best with people. Like, that's what we've done for all of time. That's why humans are humans and our brains are so big. It's because we engage with other humans and other species and whatever. But here, you're going to bring your mom, you're going to bring your dad, you want to bring your your whole family here because you're getting results. Now your family is getting better. It's not just me teaching you or you teaching. Like, we are all your coaches, and that's our power.